All right. Welcome back to Taking a New Approach podcast. I am so grateful to be back on the mic again. Thank you so much, you beautiful souls, for clicking on the video. Please subscribe, like, share. But if you're new here, thank you so much. I always am grateful and appreciative of when people click on it because you don't have to. You could be anywhere in the world doing whatever you want, but you decided to click on this video. So I thank you for that. Now, it's not a coincidence that you clicked on the video. So the universe doesn't make mistakes. So get what you need from this and use it in your life and become that better person. Okay? So I always like to start off with a breathing exercise. It's very quick, just to ground us in the now. I always say your power is in the now. That's the truth. The future and the present, in the past, does not exist. You're constantly just in the now, and that's constantly creating your future, which also created your past. So I'm gonna count to 3. You're gonna take a deep breath in. You're gonna blow it out. Do it again, and then I'll get right into the message. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Breathe in deeply. Blow it out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in again. Blow it out. So I feel good typically all the time when I do that. I just got a little natural high. I relax. My body feels good. So definitely your breath is important. It's life. So definitely, if you need any advice on that, definitely look up breathing exercises and things of that nature. So let's get into the topic. So I was thinking to myself, like the other day and this morning, well, this afternoon when I'm recording this, but through this morning and afternoon. And what I was thinking about was just like the negative things that come into our lives, like my life, other people's lives. And I was also paying attention to, because I pay attention a lot to other healers and different things of that nature. And I started to notice something. And I want you to understand that you have to start paying attention to the details. See, in this society, we've been taught that, the little small details is not that serious, right? In some instances, it is. But for the most part, when it comes to social things, it's like, oh, well, we just kind of brush over it. We don't really pay attention to it too much. And that's where we end up not being able to manifest. That's why we end up not really reaching our goals. That's where we end up, having more drama than we should in our life. And I want to encourage you today to start to pay attention to the small details. And the reason why I came up with this topic is because I was noticing people, and I noticed this a lot, is that there are certain people you'll see and they'll talk a good game, and I'm all about, if I'm going to say this, then I'm living it. Doesn't mean that we're perfect. Doesn't mean that you can't make mistakes. No. Right? Like, that's still the process of learning. That's the gold is in when you're messing up, right? Because it shows you the new approach, the new path, right? To help you to further yourself. But the biggest issue that I've seen is that it could sometimes stop you or block you or create blocks within you that we didn't even know, because it's so easy to fall in line with things we've already know, right? It's easy to feel comfortable with what we already know. But if you're trying to change, you can't use the same thinking and the same behaviors to get yourself to a new place, right? You need new behaviors. You need new thinking. And it's becoming evident that 2020 is definitely breaking down the walls, right? Of the illusion. It's exposing people that you thought was cool and good people. You actually realize they're savages and they've been lying this whole time. And that's why I'm encouraging you, because this is the perfect year, the perfect time, and definitely moving forward if you find this, because it's timeless. Whatever I talk, that's when it's meant for you. But it's definitely time for you to go ahead and start to pay attention to the small details. For instance, I follow someone and I know that, you get these people who are supposed to be spiritual, but then when you start to notice the little thing, you start to realize, like, oh, there's a lot of people out here just using it as a hustle. There's a lot of people that they don't care about kids, but they make a lot of money off of it. So that's just their lane, right? They're a non-profit, but they just there because they get to hang around these rich folks that ask them for money, and that's what they really always wanted. It's just the ego-driven thing, right? It's a lot of things like that. But we have to pay attention to small things. For my ladies, like, let's say you're dating a guy. Notice what he does on social media, right? Like, if he got a whole bunch of women on his timeline, he might not be cheating, but you need to, at least in your mind, not trip out. But if he's liking a lot of those pictures, he's saying something to you. That's a signal. Doesn't mean that you should lose your mind. Doesn't mean you should lose your peace. But all of these things where you're paying attention to the small details, it's a little tip. It's just a little hint. Like, why would he like that? If I'm with that person, why would they be doing that? Right? Same thing, gentlemen. Woman always posting pictures of herself in the same pose, the duck lips, and always constantly. You never seen her without makeup. That's a narcissistic person. Sorry, ladies. You might not like me for that one, but it is. Narcissistic. And I've seen that with people that are supposed to be quote unquote spiritual. Constantly just picture. Fake filters, all that nonsense. Constantly, buying the luxury stuff. And you're like, how are we supposed to be changing, but you're still doing everything that the average person who's brain dead is doing? Like, do you really care? Or is it just a nice hustle? And I did a podcast about beware the hustler, because it's so many out here that will tell you stuff. They'll just read some stuff and come on and just tell you about it, and then boom, they're not even living it. Their only goal is to do whatever they want with the money, to live the same life that anybody else, which has made us get to this point in 2020 where we don't have enough compassion, where we don't have enough appreciation, where we don't have enough people that are loyal, who are faithful. These are the issues, and this is what we are feeling. We don't feel loved enough. Self-esteem is at an all-time low right now. Worthiness, right? The worthiness of people is at an all-time low. And that's what this is about. We need to take a new approach to get our community and our societies better. Yes, I understand that the secret societies, they were doing all types of stuff. But you must realize, even though they was creating great knowledge, if you understand, in ancient Egypt, a lot of them were going rogue. They were off. They were doing other stuff. And also you have to understand that people were falling. We were falling at that time. Ever since, because eventually we used to be non-physical. Yes, you go look this up, right? You got to do some real research for that. And maybe I'll do a podcast about that. But for this, I really want you to hone in on the small details when it comes to your life. Even yourself. Notice when you're saying things, because we think it's okay to say, negative things about ourselves. Little negative jokes like, oh, I'm dumb. You do something, you be like, oh, I'm so dumb. Oh, that was stupid. Or you don't have a lot of money at the time. And so you're like, no, I can't do that. I'm broke as hell. Like all that type of stuff. Like even saying that stuff right now, just to give you the example, I don't like. Like I feel it in my gut. Like, I don't like that. Because I know that's not me, and you're speaking either life or death with your tongue. And even though it's something small, that will return back to you. Another great example, and this is a good one, right? I was working as a 5th grade teacher, and I used to always joke because it was just unbelievably I did not like that experience. I'm grateful for it because I got to grow so much, but I just didn't like it, right? It was not cool at all. And one of the things I used to say, and I remember this vividly, this is why that's why I'm very careful with what I say, is I was like, I'd rather be homeless than teach some of these kids. Now that's a bitch. And I love teaching. This is why I'm doing this now. I love teaching. Like before, 3rd grade was fantastic. I only left because I wanted to go with the principal who was cool with me. Literally, the only reason. I didn't like the new principal. Right? But I love 3rd grade. 3rd grade was the best, the greatest thing ever. You could hear them. It was fantastic. Even though they sometimes got on my nerve, I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I get there, still with the same energy, still giving, still caring, still just wanting to just figure it out so it could all work out. But it was just at one point where it's just like, oh, the level of disrespect was like, at that time for me, I couldn't take it. And so I remember saying that, and I joked around with that. And I remember saying it a couple of times, but not all the time, just a couple of times. And more than likely, eventually I got to the end of December. And that's when I was basically I basically quit. Right? Because I was just done. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to quit. Go work for myself. Right? And I really had 2 choices. They was going to fire me or quit. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll quit. Like, thank God y'all gave me a reason to quit. Because knowing me, I was just going to stay there and just suffer, probably have a stroke. Because I'm not a quitter. I don't want to quit on something that's supposed to be my passion and my joy. But it wasn't that. And I go into business for myself. Didn't work out. Lose my apartment, lose my car. Now I'm kind of homeless. But you see how a small joke ended up becoming my full reality? And you could be like, oh, that's not necessarily true. It's definitely true. Be careful what you say. And the reason why I said that is because it was such a small little thing that I kind of brushed off like it wasn't anything. And then it ended up being my reality very soon. You are right that it's such a small thing you just said, but that's how the universe responds. And since I had no resistance to it, and I said it with some feeling and I didn't think about it, it manifested right into my life. something I did not want. Now imagine if you could manifest the thing you do want. That's kind of how it should go. You say it and you let it be, and watch that thing just come into your life. You don't have to think about it all the time, all the time, all the time. But that's why I say pay attention to the small details, because you never know when you're setting yourself up for failure or greatness. Be careful with who you are listening to, you're bringing into your life. Because if you see a person and they always got a joke and they always kind of like ragging on you, like, I know I'm a African American, whatever you want to call it, right? For those listening, and in our community, some people be like, oh, we joke with each other and we bag on each other, right? Play the dozens, all those different things. But you have to realize that it comes a point in time where pay attention to that. And someone's always joking and saying mean stuff to you, and then you like, is that really a joke? Or is that really that person is just getting away with hating on you? Again, something small, and since it's within the culture, you just kind of accept. But however, you don't understand that person could be gaming the system, right? Because they know it's like, oh, okay, well, he'll never suspect this because this is what we just kind of do. But understand if you do it with that person, right? Like, because not every friend that I have that's African American, I joke around like that. That's not. It's only certain friends I have that I could play around like that with, and that we're cool because we understand. And then there's other friends I'm not gonna do that, right? Like that's where you got to find the difference. And then that's paying attention to the small details. Like, hold on, like, I don't joke around with you like that. Like, why are you saying that? And this goes for anyone of any race, creed, or whatever. Notice the small details. Because people will try to get over on you. And a lot of times we think it's going to be something big. And most of the time, it's the small things that they're doing that leads up to the biggest thing. And then we're like, oh, why did this happen to me? Like, what is going on? Like, how did this happen? And then you're like, if you look back, you'll see like, oh, well, they was like this, and then they did do this, and then they did do that. And someone told me this. Someone joked about this, right? Someone joked about, oh, such and such a thing, right? Something small that it didn't, or like such will steal that, something real small. And it's like we go through life just being blinded to a lot of things, and our lives could get better if we just started to notice. If we were to be a little bit more self-aware of what's going on, not only within us, but around other people, right? Defense, right, is not only supposed to be something to defend for yourself, but also to defend against others, right? Like, so you protecting yourself, but you're also helping to protect other people from something. And in order to protect other people from feeling your wrath or, running into, or getting into bad situations, you must understand them as well. It's like when you're driving, right? Yeah, you got to care about yourself, but defensive driving also is like, I have to make sure that I'm paying attention to everyone around me, not just driving for myself, but I got to pay attention to everyone around me. Because if I notice that the guy in front of me is about to crash into someone, I can't just be concerned about myself. Well, I'm just driving and then I end up hitting him. I got to make sure if he does hit that person that I don't rear end him. Also, I got to make sure if someone's coming on the side that I don't hit that person, right? Like it's the same way. That's the type of self-awareness we need to have. Where we need to be thinking ahead. It's called being thoughtful. We need a lot of people that are more thoughtful in society. And you can only be thoughtful when you pay attention to the small details. It can help your relationship. When you pay attention to the small details, it doesn't always have to be negative where you're like, oh, well, what is this person trying to do to get over on me? No, it doesn't have to be that. It could easily be, I noticed that when I give this person a compliment on doing something well, they tend to treat me better. So I'm going to make that more of something of routine that I do. Or I'm noticing that when my wife gets home or my boyfriend or whatever it may be, when I don't call them, right, they tend to have an attitude. So does that mean you need to call them more? Maybe. Or it could just be, oh, okay, well, let me address this. Hey, I noticed that you're feeling this way when I don't call you as much. Oh, yeah, I am feeling this way. Okay, well, and then y'all work that out. But see, most people just want, it's my way or the highway, and F you, and this is how it's supposed to be, with no real knowledge. Just plain, just a fool, and not even in a good way. Like, it's okay to play a fool because sometimes the fool is just someone who doesn't know. Right? And sometimes that could be a good thing, right? Because it could save yourself and also allow you to enter in different rooms and different ideas because you're not blocking yourself off. It just keeps you open. But when you play the fool as the fool that knows but don't know, that's when it becomes negative because you're blocking yourself off. You do not want to block yourself off. So as you enter into your relationships, as you enter into your career, pay attention to the small details. Because your boss could be looking for someone to step up and you want more money and you want that, but you're not paying attention to the small details. He could be asking people, right? He could be hinting at, telling people he has so much work. He has so much work. And that could be a tip for you to be like, hey, I know you got a little bit of work. I know I do this. Like, how can I help you? Right? Like, a lot of times we feel like we got to get compensated for everything. And sometimes we got to show our worth sometimes to people so then that we can be compensated for the things for our value. I tell this story all the time. It's like, I wanted to get in real estate. I knew a coworker whose husband worked in real estate. Gave him a call, told him I'll work for him for free. He ended up saying, you know what? I can't let you just work for free. I'll pay you something. Right? Just so I could get the experience. Ended up not paying me. Ended up not being what I wanted, but I learned though. And it was a good experience. Right? So sometimes we have to do that. Like right now, I'm in the process because I want to do some more, like get into energy healing a little bit more. So I've been looking around my city and maybe I have to invest in a session, right? And then talk to that person and see, hey, will you mentor me? Or hey, do you have classes? Hey, do you have a connection or a network of where I can meet up with like-minded people? Because sometimes the road gets lonely and sometimes we think, okay, especially with technology, we want to just spend it all the time online. But sometimes we got to get out there, folks. But again, little small details. Something as small as like, I wonder if we have this in, like, because some towns, some places that you might be have a huge community of like spiritual people that's into what you're into and you don't even know. And all it would take for you was to notice, like, let me just type in and see what's going on. And then some of you, not as much, right? It might take you to be the one to create it, right? Sometimes a problem is a solution. Sometimes a problem is a solution. If you see a problem, oh, you know what? That could be a solution. I could create something that addresses that problem. So it ends up being that, hey, you know what? Instead of look at this as a problem, this could be a solution to something that is dearly needed. So always understand this, that no matter what you're doing, pay attention to the small details, because it would help you out so greatly. And a lot of times, can't tell you how many times we made mistakes and it was because we didn't pay attention to something, filling out a paper or something like that. Okay? So just pay attention to those details. And when you start to notice it, don't go off the handles. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to wonder if this is a bad or a good thing. Just move in whatever fashion feels the best. So if you notice this person is not right, move away from them. Or put them in a position where they work best for you. If you know a person is kind of not living right, but they trying to be a good teacher, which is a lot of people. Like they got knowledge, but then you're like, I don't know. They're kind of shaky over there. Listen to them with a discernment, or don't listen to them at all. But the goal is to be aware. All right? To be aware. And the only way you can be aware is that you start paying attention to those little details, because those are things that's their subconscious playing. Because when people do big stuff, that could be them trying to throw you off. But when people are doing things like little likes and things, you notice stuff, you're like, they're really showing you who they are. But see, we always play it off. So pay attention to that stuff. So I'm going to end it here. I love you guys. If you haven't heard it today, hopefully this helped you with also wondering why negativity comes into your life, because you are not paying attention to the small things. All right? So pay attention to the small things. And I'm telling you, your life will start to get better, because you at least have a roadmap of how I could go about maneuvering this life. Okay? So you're worthy, you're deserving. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you have questions, you can email me or leave them in the comment section. If you want to get coaching, hit me up. All that information, love offerings, donations, and stuff like that, it's all in the description box. Love you. We'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.